Good morning, everyone. It's Hanifa Menon from hearthealthbrainhealth.com, encouraging healthy grieving and mindful actions. So, today I want to talk to you about acceptance. And I came across this beautiful quotation, which is by an author I do not know, but I will let you know her name is Veronica Tugaleva. Veronica Tugaleva. And here is the quotation. What if each time you experienced an emotion, you acknowledged it, accepted it, and became curious about the message for you? Imagine how this could change your life. Imagine how heard, loved, and honored you would feel if you really listened to yourself. And I so agree with this thinking. And if any of you are familiar with mindfulness, you'll know that this is kind of the thinking behind mindfulness, too, of just acknowledging and accepting what you feel or think or experience. Again, you could be thinking about body symptoms or awarenesses, or you could be thinking about a thought, or you could be thinking about a feeling or feeling a feeling. And all of those are just accepted as is and honored. So if we think about honoring, we're going a little step beyond mindfulness. But I will say that I encourage this with my clients. I definitely encourage understanding messages that come through in the shape of emotions. And many of us know that we're very aware when emotion hits us, whether it's sadness or crying or excitement, or if it's frustration, all of these things. We're very aware. We're very cued into this is how I feel. This is the emotion I feel. This is the experience I'm having. And sometimes we'll notice that we're tensing up when we do that. This is some people recognize in anxiety, certain palpitations might happen. Sometimes people recognize with grief, especially, that they might cry. So all of these things are possible. And then the thing that happens for most people, and what I've seen with clients especially, but certainly experienced myself too, is we go into the story of why is this happening? Oh, it's because this person cut me off on the road. This person took the last bag of chips. This person took more time than they needed to at the medical doctor's office, and that made my appointment late. Um, I'm running late. So all of these things. And then what is the common theme about all of those things too? Is blame, right? So there is blame of that person should not have done this, or I shouldn't have done this. And I'm all about getting over blame. So if we are mindfully aware that I don't feel so good in this situation, the mind will automatically try to figure out why. Try not to stay in the why. Try to understand what's the message. I need to leave home a little bit earlier to reach my appointments or work on time. I need to be aware that other people might be in a situation that has needed a longer appointment than what they would normally take. I need to know that sometimes my appointment might be longer. So people can think about these sorts of things. Now let's think about road rage again. We know that that person shouldn't have cut me off. I'm going to cut them off. And both of those, one, you can blame the other person. And then afterwards, you might blame yourself of why did I do that? I didn't think I would get into an accident, but I was trying to get back in front of them. All of these sorts of things. How about in terms of family and friend relationships? I would feel so much better if that person just did this. And that's pretty nice, right? But that's kind of a blame. I'm blaming them for me not feeling better because they're not doing what I would like them to do. And that's kind of funny when we think about it, right? It's amusing how the mind thinks if we actually stop to think and analyze messages for ourselves. So if we think of, yeah, I really wish that person was in a different spot. Then we think about ourselves. What is this message for me? I'm happy I'm in the spot that I'm in. Or it doesn't make me happy until they're in a better spot, which is not a good direction to go, right? That awareness itself should probably remind you that you're never going to be able to change where someone else is emotionally. You might be able to help them temporarily, but their experience is their experience, and it's going to be as long as they need it to be. Your experience is your experience, and it's as long as you need it to be. Now, if any of you really know me, you know that I like to move into more positive emotions. So even when there is an acknowledgement of a less than positive emotion, if there is the acceptance that is part of mindfulness training of this is the emotion I'm feeling, or this is the experience I'm having, there is the acknowledgement of this is it, And then the acceptance, and that's okay. It's okay that I feel this way. And then, if a situation absolutely requires it, an action may be needed. So, you might need to leave the situation to feel a little bit better because what's the goal for each person? To feel a little bit better. I strongly believe that our thoughts, our minds will pull us into a direction of, no, I'm really going to figure this out of why this is happening in the way that it is, and why did it happen, and how could I change it? And it's a lot of mental work to think that way. And if we think of, I want to feel better, what do I need to do to feel better? So, oh, it might make me feel better to go for a walk, or it might make me feel better to sip my favorite tea. It might make me feel better to think of something happy or something humorous. That works for me, but most of the time. But I will say that first, the intention to actually be in a different space, to recognize that the goal is getting back to a good space. This is not to ignore that something not good is happening or you're aware of something not good, even emotionally. You can be aware of there is this background fear, there is this background anxiety, there is this background grief. But I'm going to focus on because simultaneously something really good is happening too. And only if you train your mind to recognize the really good in even not good situations will you be able to find these things easily. So I can tell you that, yeah, it doesn't come overnight. This is not something that just happens because I want to think differently. I think differently. But it does take a mindful attention to where do I want to think. A lot of people think that if they are not focusing on an emotion that's not so positive, somehow they're not working things out in their lives that they really should work out. And that's certainly what the mind would like us to believe. And I certainly encourage people working through things that are not so good. And then recognizing that the goal is to get to a place that's good. So even if in this moment you can be in a space of what's really good right now. So even if your mind is on something that's not so good, what is simultaneously really good right now? And if you can pay attention to that, you can actually help move your mind into thinking this more regularly. So today, I would love for you to take 5 minutes after this video to think of what is your mind thinking about right now? Is it good or is it not so good? And if it's not so good, can you move it into something good that's happening right now? And I bet you'll be able to think of something. Even if, let's say today, you've gone to a funeral and that's front and foremost in your mind, and you remember the same person's funeral that you've gone to, you remember you went to their wedding too. Can you focus on the wedding, a good time that still involves this person, which is still honoring their life experience? Can you get yourself into a space to focus on this was a really good experience? I'm so glad I was part of it. See if you can do these things. And if you train yourself to start doing this in every moment you can, you'll find that you're going to start moving yourself into a much higher vibration. And when you're in a higher vibration, lots more good comes to you. So you'll have to trust me on that one. And if you've tried it, you already know this. And if you haven't, feel free to reach out to me at hanifahelps@gmail.com. And remember, transform your mind and transform your life. Have a great day, everyone.